Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahe Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome to Journey of Healing. I'm your host, Nirmala Ranika. I hope you had a safe week. Once again, we have a pleasure of having Dr. Hiteshini Jogasar on our show. She's a rare combination of a committed scientist, social activist, teacher of yoga and meditation, and president of Art of Living Canada. Early on in her profession, she chose to abandon comfort and prestige to dedicate herself to humanitarian service with an aim of bringing comfort, solace, and healing to those in need. With a PhD in surgical research from McGill University and keen interest in meditation and yoga, she pursued an interest in alternative form of healing. Dr. Jogasar was particularly drawn to the powerful techniques offered by the Art of Living. She has since become an acclaimed international teacher of Art of Living Foundation. Today we will be talking about workplace or actually lifestyle balance during COVID times. And we all have been experiencing so much, not only stress, but sort of our life has changed during these times of the pandemic. Most of us are working from home. There's a disruption in our financial well-being. There's a disruption in our personal well-being around our relationships, exercises. People have stopped going to the gyms. That connection, that human connection is missing for a lot of us. So there's a lifestyle change that we have to adapt to. So I'm hoping today that we'll have a conversation on what can we do in the present times so that we can have a better or sort of more balanced work and life balance as we navigate through COVID-19, the second wave, and there's uncertainty around the timeline. So the tools we'll bring about will allow you to incorporate them in your daily living to have a little bit more structure, routine, and a balance. So welcome again to the show,
Thank you,
Dr.
Nirmala.
Hiteshini Jogasar.
Thank you.
So are you able to share some of the tools, or what would you recommend or to our viewers that they can do in in this moment or as we continue to navigate through COVID-19?
Taking the time to meditate and do some breathing, some pranayams, and learn the Sudarshan Kriya technique, which we offer in our foundation programs, in our entry-level programs. These Sudarshan Kriya technique can really shift the whole being, bring a lot of integrity to the health and well-being of the individual by releasing the stress from the nervous system, by energizing the cells, energizing each individual cell, um, by bringing the balance. You see, we have never really learned how to manage our mind and emotions, right? We all experience stress in different ways, we cope in different ways, but we've never really learned how to dissolve negative emotions. When the anxiety is there, when the fear is there, when the anger is there, what do you do with that emotion, right? How do you dissolve it? How do you dissipate it? And this is where the breath is essential, because breath is that one tangible tool that is connected to your state of mind and emotions. The way, for every rhythm in the breath, there's a corresponding pattern in your emotions. If you notice, when you're angry, you're breathing in a particular way. It's very fast, it's very sharp, rapid, interrupted, shaky even. When you're sad, there's more emphasis on the exhalation. Its breath is very heavy. Sigh. When there's anxiety, it's very shallow, very rapid, very superficial. And when you're happy, it's long and deep. There's a long inspiration at that time, breath in. Right? So for every emotion that we experience, there is a corresponding rhythm in the breath, a corresponding pattern in the breath. Now, it's very difficult to handle our mind and emotions at the level of the mind. But by changing the way you breathe, by altering the pattern of the breath, you can alter the state of the mind. And this is a secret that's been known in the science of yoga for millennia, time immemorial. And now scientists are starting to see that breath is connected to the state of mind. And this is where, you know, the techniques that we teach in the Art of Living program, the Sudarshan Kriya, the pranayams, can really, really benefit to help you be in charge of your state of mind. So rather than living in this constant state of anxiety, fear, just by putting attention, doing some breathing exercises for 10, 12 minutes, immediately there's a shift and your mind becomes more settled, more peaceful, more in the present moment. And that way you're able to cope, to deal with the situation that's in front of you in a better manner, more productive, more effective manner. And your capacity to handle different situations, juggle different situations that are around you, that capacity increases. Why? Because the mind is in an expanded state. When you're stressed, the mind is contracted. When the stress is relieved through these techniques, when your nervous system is decompressed, the mind is in an expanded state. And your capacity to handle challenges becomes that much better. Your relationships with different people will improve. The way you communicate, that skill is enhanced. Yeah. So breathing is essential.
So those people
Yeah.
who may not be able to access Sudarshan Kriya, are there other breathing techniques, or I know there's several different forms of
Right now,
pranayama
everything is
that one can
online.
practice.
Yeah, right now we're offering all the workshops online, meditation programs, the Sudarshan, the Art of Living Happiness program, which teaches the Sudarshan Kriya. Everything is available, accessible online. So look us up and join the programs and see for yourself how powerful these are. Yeah.
One of the things that COVID-19 has provided all of us is this virtual tools to be able to um, share, teach, and bring information to people. So I invite our viewers to continue connecting virtually, whether it's family, friends, or looking for resources on how to manage stress. I know that Dr. Hiteshni Jagasar, she also offers some workshops and classes through the Art of Living Foundation, tools and techniques. And of course, I have personally taken these workshops in person several years ago. And also virtually, I have during back in March, April, I did join some of the classes virtually as well. And just beautiful ways of coping with stress. Are you able to share something about workplace?
What would you like to know about? Uh,
Well, people are staying at home and doing
mm,
working from home. And when you have your family, your children, um, you're all on the same small,
yeah,
depending on where a
sharing the
person is
same
living, whether they're
space.
living in
Yeah,
a condo or house.
yeah, yeah.
How do you balance that?
Yeah, that's why taking the balance comes only if you take time to recharge your own batteries. So, because you're constantly engaging, right? You're giving, you're tending to children, to your work, to your family. Some few minutes attending to yourself is essential, and that's where balance comes from. If you're constantly giving and attending, very soon you get depleted. And when you get depleted, then it starts to affect the quality of the relationships you're in, quality of the work that you're delivering. Right? So taking the time, that 15, 20 minutes for yourself, stepping away, just disconnecting from your phone, from the computer, and just going inward rather than always being engaged outward. When you're engaged outward, senses are outwards, energy is being spent. When you withdraw the senses and go inward, which is what we do when we're doing the meditation, the pranayams, the Sudarshan Kriya, the whole focus is going inward, then the energy is recuperated, right? You're recharging the battery at that time because you're not engaged outwards. So just taking time to go inward is, in a nutshell, I would say, going inward for 15, 20 minutes a day to take care of yourself is essential right now. More than ever, this is really essential.
We will take a short break now, and when we come back from the break, we will continue our conversation with Dr. Hiteshni Jagasar, how to create a balanced lifestyle. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti. Welcome back to the show. And I will be inviting Dr. Hiteshni Jagasar again just to share some more tools, other tools that we can incorporate to bring about balanced lifestyle.
I would say become creative as well. Use your creativity to try out new things. If you've never cooked before, then try it out. Learn some cooking. So anything creative that you haven't really had the opportunity or time to do before, this can also bring balance. Just switching off from the rut, from the routine, which a lot of us are stuck in. It's just like moving from task to task to task, taking the time out and just few minutes a day or a couple of times a week, do something creative that can restore the balance as well.
You
Whatever that may
mentioned
be, learn. Yeah, could be
you
learning a
mentioned
new
cooking.
instrument, cooking. Yeah,
Yeah, you mentioned cooking, and I'm just reflecting back over the months in the initial phase. We saw a shortage of certain supplies in the grocery stores like flour and especially the baking supplies. A lot of
yeast.
people were
Yeah, yeah,
experimenting
yeah.
with the breads, muffins, and this is true that creativity is part of actually our nature. And when we go into that place of silence, meditation, it actually does provide us with lots of uh, uh, it it doesn't only provide us answers or solutions, but it allows us to tap into those energies of creativity. And
Yeah.
we have seen over this past several months people doing so many different things, the things they thought they could never do, and which is beautiful. We are all learning to cope in different ways. Um, you also mentioned, I think there was something else you were going to mention about creating more balance in your life.
Yeah, taking time out, doing something creative, being more in nature as well, as much as you are able to safely, bearing in mind all the restrictions and so forth. Being in nature, connecting with nature, whether it's taking walks, whether it's just going and sitting in front of a lake or a river or a stream, whatever that may be, because that can really, really bring that serenity also, being in nature. If sitting and meditating for you is difficult for some people, if no, who might say, no, this, I cannot do this, this is very hard for me, I would say just take a walk, go and be in nature, and immediately in a few minutes you'll see the mind starts to settle down. And observing nature, when you're in nature, also not being on your phone and listening with your headphones, you know being 100% in nature and observing and attentive to what's happening around you can bring that shift as well from inside. Yeah. And then, you
Also,
know taking one other thing I would say, I'm seeing a lot of that, when people come into the courses, a lot of people are having issues with the neck, with the back, with shoulders, because of the posture. We're spending a lot of time in front of the screen. We're starting to neglect ourselves physically. So being very mindful of that, of posture, and from time to time stepping away and walking and doing some stretches, some asanas, some yoga is essential. Otherwise, over duration of period, we'll start to see, not just mental health issues, but people also having, issues with the spine, with the neck, with the joints. That can happen also. Eyesight as well. Yeah. So we need to
and I
attend to all those
also
elements. Yeah. Yeah.
and I also want to invite to our viewers that if you are um, seek professional help, like we cannot stress upon the importance of reaching out to a professional. The situation, when it goes long enough and creates suffering and imbalance in the most of resilient of human beings, some of the common symptoms to watch out for is an inability to sleep. Lack of sleep can cause a lot of distress, physical and emotional distress, any flashbacks you have, any memories, uh, any recurring nightmares or irritability, hypervigilance, anxiety, heightened reactions. Some of these things can cause health issues, as we had discussed in our last episode around stress. So it is very important to reach out to a healthcare provider or professional if these symptoms are ongoing to get the appropriate support for yourself. Uh, whether, once again, we believe that, meditation, movement, yoga, lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, eating lifestyle, being in nature provides so much relief to our mind, body, and can take away and reduce that stress. However, for some people, the if they're not able to integrate or incorporate some of these tools, they may need to have to seek healthcare professional help, whether it's a therapist, counselor, physician, psychiatrist, whatever it may be. I encourage you to do seek appropriate support for yourself in this area. And Dr. Hitachi, what else would you say to somebody,
Yeah, I would
who's not
say there
able to get
shouldn't be
out?
any stigma. There shouldn't be any stigma around mental health, right? This is where people don't seek help. They don't seek the professional support because there's discomfort around it. So we should do away with all of that and really be willing uh, to seek the help that we require. This is essential. Seeking professional help, as you said, and knowing that all of this is temporary. It's not going to stay forever, right? That brings a lot of strength from within. That brings a lot of comfort to you from within, knowing that all is transient. Right? When you recognize this, then you're able to move through it with, you know, perseverance, with strength, and with um, a state of acceptance, rather than resisting it and fighting it and questioning it. More becoming more and more in tune with yourself can bring that state of acceptance and allow you to move through it as smoothly as you possibly can, right? So knowing that it's all going to shift, it's going to change, and everything will move into a better direction.
And yes, so well said that, and I believe um, we human beings have a responsibility, and part of our responsibility is being able to show up with compassion and no judgment, especially with these difficult times when people are experiencing that, whether it's depression, anxiety, uh, trauma with current situation, is to support them with compassion and no judgment, because we all have different ways of coping with
Yeah,
stress, anxiety, and if we are able to take those steps to support our family members, our loved ones, and I know there's been additional uh, issues also for those people who may have had family members in a long-term care home, and they have not been able to visit those people. And while we know it's been stressful for those family members, we also know that this separation, like you said, is temporary, and we all need to play a part in trying to support that so that we can reduce this COVID numbers, and uh, and there's less risk, because when we don't respect, or when we don't adhere to certain protocols, we contribute to that um, chaos.
yeah.
What are your
And
thoughts on
being,
this?
yeah, definitely, respecting so the procedures, the protocols, so that we continue to minimize numbers and improve the situation. We're all responsible. It's collective responsibility, right? So anything we do affects people around us, so we cannot be self-centered about it. It's a collective responsibility we have right now. And the other thing I would say is reaching out to people, as you were saying, who are around us. If there's anyone in distress or disturbed by anything, just being there for the other is really important right now. So nobody should feel isolated. Nobody should be feeling helpless. We're all facing different challenges in different ways. Many have experienced losses in our family, through personal people we've lost. So just being there, knowing that we're together in this, and that we will move through this together as well, and it will get better. This is really important, to be there, stretching your hand and reaching out to people in whichever way safely you can, and taking care of one another.
Yes, that's so important, being able to support each other through these challenging times. So again, thank you, Dr. Hiteshini Jagasar, for coming to our show and really imparting your wisdom and knowledge and tools to help our viewers get through these challenging times. If you have any questions about our today's topic, or if you are interested in our upcoming shows, please follow us on our Facebook or email us at journeyofhealings@gmail.com. And I really hope you will look into the Art of Living Foundation website. There's lots of workshops across the world, different teachers, and try something out for yourself to bring about a little bit more work and life balance in your life. So today our quote is from Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar. Activity and rest are two vital aspects of life. To find a balance in them is a skill in itself. Wisdom is knowing when to have rest, when to have activity, and how much of each to have. Finding them in each other, activity in rest and rest in activity, is the ultimate freedom. So, wishing you a week full of peace. And I just want to thank you again for joining us today uh, on this show. And we will see you next week at the same time. Namaste.
Namaste. ॐ सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः